Hi, good morning. So let me just do a brief introduction of myself. I'm Haley. I'm the Executive Director of Revitalize, and we are a nonprofit that is focused on uplifting and amplifying the voices of change makers in our community. So I wanted to reach out to you, Paige, because I've seen some of the things that Community Arts St. Louis is doing, and I just wanted to kind of hear how you got involved, your mission, and what kind of events and programming you have planned for the year.
Yeah, so I'm actually the founder of Community Arts, and we started back in, excuse me, my dog. We started back in 2017. It was in the wake of learning that our friend and fellow dance graduate from Webster University was shot 8 times in the torso and the back. And after learning about it and grieving and going through that process, a group of artists got together and decided to put on a small concert to help offset her medical costs. And we were just trying to find any way that what can artists do to help this situation. And the project grew way bigger than we ever imagined. It became a full 2-weekend festival. It engage the community, the arts community specifically, to host performances and healing workshops such as yoga and art therapy. And while putting on this event, I was trying to talk to anyone who was willing to talk to me about the issues of violence in St. Louis, because it really opened my eyes that this is a problem that has been in our city for hundreds of years and is nothing new. We hear about it all day, the violence that plagues our streets. And I talked to FBI agents, police officers, and I really wanted to continue my mission after helping Rain offset her costs with her medical bills. I really wanted to continue to help use the arts community to aid the anti-violence efforts. So our mission is to mobilize the arts community, use our resources to help all of the collaborative efforts in St. Louis to heal St. Louis and curb the violence that is plaguing our city.
Wow, that is a pretty giant mission and very cool.
Yeah.
When you started kind of getting into that sphere of arts and, community safety, preventing violence, did you find that are there groups working on that in St. Louis, or were you kind of the first? What were you finding?
Definitely not the first. There have been lots of initiatives, but the one that I was guided into immediately was the Violence Prevention Commission Coalition, which is a large group of organizations across the St. Louis area. This includes juvenile detention. This includes mental health board, story stitchers, FBI, police, law enforcement. So all the way across, they're making sure that they're coming together to work on community engagement, policy making, as well as finding the root cause of violence and how we can effectively work together to continue and chip away at this historical issue that is a lot bigger and more complicated than we believe it is.
Wow, that seems like you need kind of all of the different change makers to come together. I'm interested too in hearing about like how you guys work with, I guess, law enforcement, as you said, because I think there's also an issue in St. Louis where sometimes police are not necessarily viewed as a community resource, but there's like a lot of conflict between those groups. So how are you working in that sphere to kind of make this happen?
Yeah, when I joined the Community Engagement Committee, they only help community members, but also the police departments restructure how they are going to go forward to better serve their community as well as work for themselves. They have a very hard position in working kind of against their own community, against the stigma of what police officers have, especially with the popularized Black Lives Matter movement in this past year. as well as still trying to do their job in a highly stressful and dangerous position.
Absolutely. It's not an easy, community relations issue. There's real, real problems on both sides, in terms of like there is a lot of violence in a lot of St. Louis communities. And so how can we kind of really get to the root problem, get community people to buy into a solution or come forth with their ideas for how we can make that kind of reduced. How have you found the impact in the community? What are you measuring kind of with your programs? How do you measure that success?
Well, community arts for ourselves, we developed a program called SHARE, originally called EAA. It was going to be Expressive Arts Anonymous, but we renamed it to be Service Healing Arts Restoration. And our focus was to mobilize mental, emotional, and physical wellness across emergency responder groups. And this includes fire, law enforcement, EMS, ER trauma medical workers. And our focus wasn't necessarily the community relations aspect. Our focus was more on the mental wellness of these workers. As we said earlier, they're in highly stressful jobs. And if they are constantly in a state of PTSD or worrying about their safety constantly, their emotional well-being will be torn down constantly from day-to-day work, the secondary trauma, and they won't be able to serve their community to their biggest capacity. There are high rates of suicide. There are high rates of abuse, of alcoholism, and they are people too. I think people have lost that understanding of every single human being on this earth, regardless of your color, your race, or your profession. We are all hurting because we're all in this community together, regardless of what side we have viewed each other to be on. Originally, we were working indoors, and we were hosting programs where we would do art therapy, music therapy. We had a partnership with yoga for first responders. But after the pandemic really rounded up, we shut everything down. We didn't really understand COVID like the rest of us. So we felt it was safe to take a step back, breathe, and revisit this program. And what we decided, and kind of fell into our laps, a local nurse connected me with a garden in the Vandeventer district. And because it's outdoors, we felt that that was a safer place. We could spread out, and we adopted a stumpery. And with that, we hope to engage our law enforcement, fire, EMS, and offer space for them to tend to their garden, because that is a very meditative practice. There is a lot of wonderful mental and emotional healing benefits of gardening. And then we would also pair it with our art therapy, our music therapy, our mental, our meditative work. So putting those two together, we hope that this will be a safer place via COVID for us to continue our programming.
Cool. Wow. So I guess that's still kind of going even though it's winter, and do you have any like events planned, any more concerts? What kinds of events are you hoping to start doing again as COVID maybe tapers off and continue?
Yeah, so for the garden, we've had a very mild winter here in St. Louis, and we have started it. I mean, it's literally just a lot. So we had to take a sod cutter in and take the first layer off ourselves. We've reached out to master gardeners to help us design. We have two gardening designers to help us get the drawings going. And I think our first step would be getting compost to help enrich the soil. So right now, our team, none of us are gardeners. We're just excited about this project. So we're learning as we go, and we're getting the people who have the knowledge to help us along the way. But we do hope to get it going. I think they were suggesting maybe March and April.
Okay.
But who knows with what the weather's going to be this year. It's a
Yeah.
little different.
And is
Go
that
ahead.
mostly focused on those first responders, or are you also inviting in community members?
So we do want, so this is also going back to the relations. If we are able to get our first responders and these professions that are truly here to serve the community, we hope that the community, the Vanderventure district, the Vanderventure neighborhood will see that they care. They're in there to beautify their area. And we do have plans to invite community members to be a part of the beautification of the garden in their area.
Awesome. That sounds nice. I'll have to come check out the location.
Yeah.
Have you, I know there are some other kind of community garden organizations in the city, not focused on gardening as therapy necessarily, but also focused on kind of connecting communities that are maybe disconnected from that aspect of food and growing it, people who live in food deserts. Are you considering any partnerships with some of these other gardens down the road or something like that?
We are open. We're super big on collaboration. To heal our community, there is no one group of people that is able to take on this big undertaking. So we're always looking for collaboration. If there are any other gardens that have knowledge or even suggestion for donations or anything like that, we are open to it. Our particular garden isn't focused on filling that food desert issue, but there are other plots within this lot. There is going to be a labyrinth. There's going to be a hydrangea garden. I believe there's going to be like a bee pollinator garden too as well.
Cool.
So I think the main focus is to beautify this area so the community can be proud of where they live.
Yeah. So in terms of people who your program that was called EEA and now is called Share, is that correct? Yeah.
Yep.
So the people who are in is it kind of a structured program, or is it just help when people are feeling overly stressed or traumatized? Is it an ongoing process? What's that look like?
It will be an ongoing process. We will be specifically reaching out to firehouses, nurse groups, law enforcement, maybe houses and districts, to specifically set them up. So not only are they getting the personal wellness, but it's also an opportunity for a group to come together and create relations with their own comrades, knowing that they are all going through the same thing, possibly opening space for conversations that maybe art can facilitate and go a little deeper than the hello that you would say in the hallway on the way to your next job.
Okay. Very cool. So this is obviously a very kind of personal project for you. It was a friend of yours who was shot that kind of sparked this whole thing. What has been kind of the most transformative aspect for you in this whole process?
I think it was the realization that violence does not stop at any street. It does not stop at any profession or stop at any, bullets go through all skin. And until it directly affects you, we're kind of blind to it. And I really hope that with my work and my awareness through our work, that we are able to bring this issue to all communities, regardless of where you live, that we are able to attack this issue head on so we can fix this before other people will be affected by it. Again, if it doesn't affect you personally, you don't even realize that it's literally a war zone in some communities that may be just a few blocks away from yours.
Yeah, thank you. That really speaks to our mission as well, which is creating communities in unity. You know, so often people will go into the city for an event and then leave back to the county or back to, you know, their home in the suburbs somewhere, and not kind of realize that, you know, there's lots of culture and lots of art in the city, but there's also lots of violence, right? And so how can we mobilize the whole community to kind of work together? Because when one community is safe, it means that all of us are, you know, all of us are doing better. All of us have more of a chance to kind of thrive and like reach our full potential. Cool. Well, that's really exciting. I look forward to seeing how the garden develops over the year.
Same.
And, yeah. And I'm already kind of thinking about maybe some collaboration that we can work on throughout the year. So
Definitely.
sounds very cool.
Yeah.
So how can people kind of support you? Can they donate? Do you need soil and things for the garden? What can people do to really?
Well, our most immediate thing that we need is compost, and we're looking, we're reaching out to different garden homes for donations if possible, and we do have a donation page, and this donation page we try to make as many options as possible because sometimes monetary donations aren't always the option for everyone, and everyone wants to help out anyways. But you can make a monetary donation at communityartsstl.org/donate. But you can also donate art supplies. So if you have some extra crayons and construction paper laying around from previous children, you can donate that, and that will help us go into our programming to help facilitate not only for our share program, but we also have other programs that will need donations. And then we also have a Slack channel. This channel is a way for anyone to stay updated in volunteer opportunities, and then possibly learn about other ways to get more involved in different committees. So if you wanted to volunteer further, you could join our garden committee and be a part of the infrastructure of how we're going to really serve the community through that garden.
Awesome. Thank you. Is there anything else you want to share? I don't know, about your experience or anything else about the organization?
Yeah, I would love to talk a little bit more about a huge project that we took because of COVID. We had to take a big pivot. Every year since Rain was shot, my friend, we hosted concerts, and we really focused on highlighting local talent under the mission and hopes of shedding light on the issues in St. Louis. And unfortunately, we weren't able to host a concert in 2020 because of safety reasons. So we decided to take on a documentary film. We really wanted to make sure we were still able to give jobs and pay our artists because the arts community really got hit hard by COVID. So we wanted to make sure we were still able to give them something to do during this time. And this documentary film has been a huge undertaking on logistics and planning, but also monetary. It is a lot more expensive to have a film created than host a concert. But I love the artists that we have this year, and I'm excited that we decided to continue highlighting them. We have artists such as Tonina, who is a singer, songwriter, locally just famous, traveled all over the world. She sings in English, Spanish, and Italian. Wow. We have Accurate, who's a spoken word artist, and Brittany Mosby, who is a painter. We have Newsome Aerial Dance Company, who is a local company who does aerial and is directed by two strong dancers, lovely ladies from Panama. We have Ashley Leanne Dance Company, as well as M. Gray Art. And then the last one is KPH Dance, directed by Kevin Hockenberry, who is an assistant professor at SIUE. So we have a wide range of artists and different types of mediums that are really focusing on what is being shaped by our community right now. We are pairing with Pot Bangers, which is a local organization. Mama Cat, she is just a force to be reckoned with. We're using Ashley Leanne Dance Company and M. Gray Art to show off her mission through art. So we're dancing and we're painting her mission so more people can learn about how she is serving the unhoused community and feeding hungry stomachs. And then Accurate and Brittany Mosby are painting and drawing and performing the mission of Crime Victim Center. Crime Victim Center serves those who have been impacted by violence, and we really want to share their story, and we want the community to understand the very important work that they're doing in our city.
Wow. So is that going to be released this year sometime?
Yeah, we're about halfway through the process of filming all of the artists, and then we will go into the process of linking it together to create a through line for the documentary. But we hope to host it in an outdoor venue, maybe in the summer. We're shooting for the summer, so we can have a somewhat, a safer option so people can view art safely and enjoy some outdoor time in St. Louis.
That sounds really awesome. Very cool. A lot of great organizations and people all kind of united around that mission. So very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for chatting today, Paige. I will, let's see, I'm going to type up a little article about this, and that'll be on our website. And we can include any video clips or media that you might have as well. And then, yeah, just directing people to your website, to that donate page, and to how they can kind of follow you and keep updated about this documentary that will be coming out.
Awesome. Thank you so much.